Welcome to Good Goobyes, the Funeral Facts podcast. We are really glad you found us. In this podcast, me, Simon, a funeral director,
and me, Tina, I'm an independent celebrant.
We're going to discuss all things funeral in an informal space to demystify what happens when we say goodbye.
Based on your questions and queries, Si and myself are two industry professionals that are going to chat through the hows, whats and wherefores. We actively work in the funeral industry in Devon in the UK. So, we hope you enjoy the episode ahead. Welcome to Good Goobyes.
Hello and welcome to Good Goobyes with me, Si.
And me, Tina.
Today, we are going to talk about the other side of the funeral, the wake, the bun fight, the whatever you want to call it. And it's a good subject because some people it is as important as the funeral. For some people, it's something that's actually quite terrifying. So yeah, good opportunity to talk about where it comes from, what the purpose is, and what's those words again, should or shouldn't do.
It is one that I get asked a lot, actually, as a celebrant. What should we do for the wake? Or, some people just kind of like some people know exactly what they want to do, which is great. But other people are as lost about that as they are about some of the funeral detail and what they should do about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's something that people have in their minds as a necessity, almost as much a part of the funeral as anything else. And I suppose that comes from history and comes from tradition. That there's always been something. And I suppose going back historically, let's go into the deep dive with wake. So the actual wakes themselves used to be before the funeral. So the wake was the case of being awake. So guarding over the deceased, watching them, being around them from the point of death until the point of the funeral. And this obviously is something that has changed over the years. Now we're looking at a couple of weeks from the point of death to the point of the funeral. It's not as sort of relevant in today's terms. There's still certain communities that, and we've done episodes on it where they have their loved one at home and there's somebody sat with them sort of day and night, and it's still relevant in that way. But wake as we know it is after the funeral, you go back somewhere with the mourners, with the congregation, and have some food, some refreshment, further opportunity to talk in a group setting, because ultimately the funeral itself is one person. It's a celebrant, it's a minister, maybe one or two family getting up to speak, but nobody else has the opportunity to say anything about that person. So that's, for me, that's the benefit of a wake. That's what a wake should be about, is everybody else having their opportunities to grieve and to tell their stories as well.
Yeah. Does the word wake come from like being there in case they should wake? In the days when like, this is like centuries ago, but in the days when it maybe was less reliable for saying someone had passed or died?
That's a very good question. My understanding of it was that it was the case of being to be awake or to watch.
Yeah, the mourners awake.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it would make absolutely perfect sense, wouldn't it? But it's not something I'm aware of.
Yeah.
Write in the comments if I've missed a boat on this, and it's absolutely the case.
Yeah, it's just a curious question from me, because I think that what you said is correct, but I'm just curious, really. Yeah. So if anyone knows,
it would make sense. It would make sense. Yeah. I think there's a little bit of pressure on people with a wake. Feel that they should do something.
Yeah.
I often have clients that's the bit that they're dreading more. The fact that they're going to all of a sudden have everybody wanting to talk to them.
Yeah, it is an interesting one, isn't it? Because, I mean, I would say there's ways to manage that. So we've kind of created a tradition in this country, and I do often talk to clients about it, which is as you leave the service, wherever that is held, And it can be a religious service in a church, or it could be a crematorium, or even, you know, in a graveyard. People start sort of almost queuing in a greeting line to say something to the family. And I think it comes from a great place of respect. But believe me, if you're listening to this, it's unlikely that the family, or if you are the family, are going to want to deal with a big line of people who, many of them, they won't know very well. It might be somebody from the person's workplace coming to pay their respects and say, I knew your person through the world of work, or I used to play cricket with them, or whatever. So I often encourage people to say, to not do that, and to catch up with the family later at the gathering or the wake or whatever they're going to have, because it is a bit less formal. Maybe got a drink in your hand and a sausage roll. It doesn't feel so intense.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is, that receiving line is a difficult one. And we said it, and it's something that, I've certainly heard you use at the end of the service, Tina, that the family would much rather take the opportunity to chat with you further at the wake venue. And I think that's quite good. Obviously, if the people that aren't going on maybe still want to feel like they've said something, and it's not always the case. But I think chatting more about the different types and different things people do. Some people go really sort of really formal and hire a sort of a hotel suite and put on full catering things. I myself recently had the wake for Nan in the garden of my house because we had all the kids with us, and you know what, they didn't want to be in a stuffy room. So you know what, go and run right around the garden, play on the swing and in the paddling pool while we have a sandwich and a really good laugh and smile about Nan. So I think it's family specific, isn't it? We talk about it all the time, the shoulds and shouldn't. There's no obligation. You don't have to do it. If you want to do it, do something that's right. If your dad went to the same pub every Thursday for his entire life, go to the pub. Like, of course. But certainly don't feel duty bound to be feeding 100 people.
And as you absolutely say correctly, you can have a wake anywhere. You know, if I'm asked where could we have it, I go, my first question is there anywhere special that would feel kind of like a good place?
Yeah.
Or you can have it anywhere. I've known people have little picnics on the beach if the weather's all right. I've known people go for a walk. I've known people go just half a dozen of them for a meal. You know, really, you can, as you absolutely say, you can do anything and everything. I did a service in a care home where the person who died, we did the service, their coffin went and everyone stayed to have tea and cake. Because they weren't the most mobile group of people. That seemed
of course
really sensible. And actually, it was great. You know, it worked very well for that group of people.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a really, really interesting conversation to have, because it, like we said, for some people, it really is as important as the rest of the funeral service. I've had families, we looked after a funeral in London. I've brought this London funeral up a few times. I've done a couple up there, but this one that rings a bell in my head was at Farm Street Catholic Church, a huge great big church, but right in the middle of Mayfair. So they went back to a hotel afterwards, and I won't name the hotel, but they had a minimum room hire charge of £5,000.
Go.
So the family had to spend £5,000 in order to use the room. So they got all their catering for the 50 of them, and that came to, a decent bit of money, still $2 and a bit grand for 50 people's food, but they're only halfway there. So they were buying bottles of champagne. They went absolutely crazy. We're talking £400-500 bottles of very, very, very expensive champagne, because they were faced with a bill of £5,000 regardless of what they did. So they thought, well, we might as well spend it. We'll buy 10 bottles of champagne, to make it up, because we've got to spend it anyway. We've got to meet that threshold. Putting yourself in that position is just, to each their own. But to me, that's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
And there'll be people, won't they, on the other end of the continuum will be thinking, we can't really afford very much, you know. I mean, I've been certainly in my family's back kitchen when I was a young woman, making the sarnies for the wake that we were having round at ours, because
Yep.
you know, they couldn't have afforded to have had it anywhere. And this is a quite comical story, Si, because my grandma was she thought that salmon was you know, a very special thing, and they used to have tinned salmon. So she bought pink salmon, and she thought it didn't look salmony enough, so she tried to put some cochineal red food colouring in it. She went a little over the top, and we had very startlingly red salmon sandwiches.
Wow. Not salmony enough. That is brilliant, isn't it?
I know. Amazing. See, woman of the wall years. But, you know, these are things that, these little comedy moments, actually, they kind of just make you just think of them in that, like, kind of affectionate way, don't they?
Yeah, that's it. Like we had specific sandwiches for Nan that she absolutely adored. She was a cheese and tomato sandwich girl through and through. So we had cheese and tomato, and all you could see is you'd sit and look around the garden, all the kids picking the tomato out of their sandwiches. But it's just funny. Like no plain cheese here. You got to have your cheese and salmon.
Yeah.
But yeah, it can be a really nice thing to just relax after the funeral.
Yeah.
Have a drink, raise a glass, a toast, share stories further above and beyond what you can do in the 30-minute constraints of a crematorium chapel.
Yeah. I guess that's the other thing. Sorry, Si, I didn't mean to speak over you.
That's right.
The other thing I was going to say was about how you can take those opportunities, actually, because if you can't fit everything in, you can certainly do something like get your photo albums out. If you're one of those families that think, oh, I don't know how to start these conversations, so I don't know when I want to talk to a load of random people while they're eating sandwiches, get old photo albums ready and have them lying around, and it will really spark some lovely conversations. People will start flicking through and chatting and going, oh, look at her in her 20s and so on. And so that can be really nice. And creating playlists. So like you said, you know, it's not a lot of time necessarily in formal settings, so for the service. So you can certainly put together a nice playlist and think, oh, we're listening to their favourite music.
Yep, absolutely. I think it can be a really good extension of the funeral service, a good opportunity to say the things that you wouldn't have necessarily been able to say in the limited time, and to hear some of the other stories, some of the other things, because we don't know everything about our loved ones. We don't know. I've heard things since Mum died from people she went to school with, and some brilliant stories that absolutely would not have been appropriate to say in the crematorium. So, and yeah, that's just part and parcel of celebrating your loved one's life. So do something that feels right. Don't put the pressure on yourself if you don't feel like doing it, because it's not a necessity, but it can be a really nice extension of the funeral service.
And you can learn a lot about your person, like you said, the richness of your person. I've known people be told stories by other acquaintances of their, you know, deceased, and they're like, oh, I didn't know that about him.
Yep.
As a family, that can be really nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. Thank you, Tina. It's great fun in there. The red salmon, that's gonna tickle me for a little while, that is. But yeah, our listeners, thank you for joining us today. Wakes really are what you make them, and I think that's a good takeaway for this. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you the next time. Cheers all.
Bye.
You've been listening to Good Goobyes, the Funeral Facts podcast. Please do like, subscribe, comment and share. Drop any questions on our social media, on Instagram, or in the text option in the show notes.
Si and I are qualified professionals, but we always advise our clients to seek any additional support from medical practitioners if they need to. And we hope you enjoyed this episode. Stay well and be kind to one another.